Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Elect Technomedia and Backbase, I would like to warmly welcome you to our exclusive webinar on the rise of engagement banking in India. To begin with, we would like to extend our sincere thanks to our valued sponsor, Backbase, who provides the leading engagement banking platform that empowers banks and other financial institutions to accelerate their digital transformation. Also, I would like to extend our sincere thanks to our esteemed speakers who have chosen to collaborate with us to be part of this powerful initiative and for graciously supporting the event. So now let's quickly get to the panel discussion on rise of engagement banking in India. Here, we mainly focus on areas in digital or technology that the banks or financial institutions have invested before, and what are their priority areas for the next year or so. And it will also briefly cover on how we can engage relationship with customers in the digital world. So, to take this session ahead, I would like to welcome the moderator for the panel, Mr. Shirish Ganeshan, regional leader of South Asia, Backbase. Welcome, Mr. Shirish
Thank you, Nishan.
Ganeshan.
Thanks for having me over. Pleasure
I
to
would
be
also
here.
like to welcome the panelist for the panel, Ms. Charu Mathur, Chief Digital Officer and Head Business Strategy and New Initiatives, IndusInd Bank Limited. Thank you, Charu Mathur, for joining us.
Hi
And
everyone, thank you for having me here.
yes, welcome, ma'am. I would like to welcome Mr. Abhinav Suresh Khare, Chief Marketing and Digital Officer, Bajaj Capital Limited. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, last we have Mr. Rohit Sharma, Vice President Technology and Operations, DBS Bank India Limited, who joined to share his insights to be part of this particular panel discussion. So, let's go on with the panel. So, over to you, Mr. Shirish Ganesh.
Right. Thanks, Nishan. Thank you to you and the Let's team for putting this together for us. And Charu, Rohit, and Abhinna, thank you so much for taking out time for this panel. It's a pleasure interacting with, I would want to say, three very diverse backgrounds of financial institutions. A very much Indian bank, one a global bank with a good presence in India, and one a behemoth or a giant in the financial services space. So, thank you once again. And I would like to just begin by putting forward one question. I think, forced or not forced, the last 18 to 24 months have seen a sort of different approach to technology investments or strategy in financial institutions, partially accelerated due to the pandemic. So, Charu, if I can just begin with you, I mean, when you talk about IndusInd Bank, what are the areas in digital or digital technology that you've seen has been the focus, or there has been a maximum investment in terms of time and effort in the last 12 to 18 months? And just to extend, I mean, where do you see the bank focus in this area in the next year or so?
Sure. Um, I think we have definitely seen a precipitation of adoption of digital across our client segments, especially, yeah, accelerated by the COVID. That's true. But irrespective, I think with a lot of effort which the government of India has already taken, the digital acceleration was anyways an agenda running strong in the economy. But in specifically in terms of areas where we see investments happening and where a lot of investments have happened in the last 5 to 6 years, there are 5 or 6 areas that I can touch upon. Um, so one is, I think, the realization that banks have got to open up their stack. Banking is not happening in banks, banking is happening everywhere. You're taking a cab, you're doing banking, you're buying something on Amazon, you're doing banking without realizing that you did it. So, how do you plug yourself into the ecosystem? And a lot of, therefore, investments are going into what we call as getting ready for open banking or platform banking, which means creating a very, very microservices based API framework at the backend, which gives you the required agility to integrate into the ecosystem with ease and offer that experience of embedded or frictionless banking, that increasingly is becoming very normal. The other area where a lot of investments are going in is cloud, of course. So while a microservices-based architecture and API framework gives you the agility, um, it's also true now that unpredictable volumes can come in across your digital platforms, and the way the payments has exploded over the last few years in the country, there's a the systems have to be very, very resilient, and performance of the systems is very critical for clients. For delivering the client experience, what is most critical is actually to have your performance and a level of reliability that customers get from various other e-commerce platforms that they are used to. So cloud is an important part of our strategy. Taking the infrastructure on cloud, setting it up in a way that it can scale up easily is an important part of technology investments. The other area where a lot of investments are actually going in, I would, just keep it short in the interest of time, but data, advanced analytics, and client engagement are very, very crucial. I see a very clear shift of business model happening. While banking was largely, you could say, assisted model of selling, increasingly clients are very comfortable doing it themselves. They can take an account themselves, they can take an insurance themselves, and they can take a loan themselves. They really don't need to be carried through with a salesperson. And all you have to do is you have to know what to offer to which client at what time. And to get that piece right, the data analytics and engagement platform is another area where we are making a lot of investments. Other than that, there is, if I look into the future, I definitely see two things where, even while these will continue to accelerate, there are two areas I think where we will see a lot of thought going in. One is what I like to call composability of the platforms. And I think customers want very, very tailored products. Uh, Within a commoditized service like banking, there there is clients who are now demanding products the way they want it. So your personal loan need not always be a 12, 18, 24-month tenure kind of a product. It could be a very different product, and the client would like to consume it the way he wants. So, or your debit card could double up like a forex card when you travel abroad. So how do you make those type of products possible is when you have very, very composable stacks at the back end. And that gives you the ability to really push your thought process on product innovation. And that I would see emerging more and more in the future. And information security is the other area where I think we will see a lot of investments as we open up, as we go more and more on cloud, as the client consent driven framework comes into place. The information security aspect and how we solve for it technologically is an area where I see a lot of investments happening.
Yeah, thanks, Charu. Very, very, very valid points. I think one thing that even we've been hearing a lot is on the use of data and analytics to drive personalization, something that you touched upon as a key factor going forward in the next few years down the line. Rohit, if I can pose the same question to you, how have you and the bank, DBS rather, viewed what's happened over the last 12 to 18 months? How have you coped with it, and where do you aim, or what do you think would be the key, what do you say, growth factor investments that would be driven by the bank in the next year or so?
Hi, Shirish and other panelists, Charu and Abhinna. Basically, to answer your question, although Charu has given the answers majorly from the IndusInd Bank perspective, but more or less almost all the banks are going into that direction only, and she has covered almost all aspects. But let me be specific and let me answer your question from the perspective of the bank wherein I am working right now. So we can divide the scope of investments or scope of digitization or technology implementation in two parts. One is from the perspective of short-term view of how we want to grow and what current situation is, and another is long-term view where we want to see ourselves in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. So from that perspective, if we look at the short-term view, then last almost 2 years, precisely 18 to 24 months, we have seen that the pandemic has led to a situation wherein every aspect of the business needs to be done in such a way, or needs to be envisaged in such a way that customer presence is not required over there. So, and RBI, before just the beginning of pandemic, RBI had come up with the various aspects of completing customers KYC through video, through VSIP, or the video KYC way that was allowed. And there was a broad framework defined by RBI, and detailed guidelines were also being published. So with the help of a circular, master directions for KYC. So with that aspect, almost all of the banks in last 2 years, almost 2 years, have gone ahead with implementing video KYC. We have also done it, and that is reaping the benefits of having all interactions with customers related to KYC completed through the video interaction, and that is a major innovation in terms of allowing customers to open their accounts without having their presence in physical form. So that is one thing. Other journeys of customer onboarding are also evolving, or rather I will say revolving now on this aspect, and majority of the customer interactions, either in the form of onboarding or with their other interactions with the bank in form of video banking, are now taking place in every other one or another journey. Whenever a customer is getting onboarded or customer wants to interact with the bank for either any request to be raised or any query to be answered. So this is the first thing. Second thing is related to what we see ourselves in next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So from that perspective, long-term perspective, we can say that there are a lot of fintech players in the market now, and there is a lot of interaction of customers happening with these kind of applications or systems. So they are also a point of leveraging such applications availability in the market and customers' choice of adopting to such applications or technologies. So herein also bank can have their presence felt, and through the modular journeys in the respective applications. Let's say some application wants to provide instant loan, some applications in terms of neo banking wants to make this facility of account opening to be made available to customer immediately. So if such fintech players are there, then bank necessarily wants to interact and have a modular journey embedded in such applications. And this is one of the aspect which not only looks at a short-term view, but it also goes with a very long-term view, in which we can have an integration or interaction with various very popular applications, and therein customers can also get their banking related needs, either related to assets or liabilities, or any third party products like insurance or mutual funds, or even going ahead, if RBI allows it later on, then related to cryptocurrencies. These things can also be looked upon, and modular journeys can be derived in these applications with the help of the integrations with the bank. So these are two major examples I wanted to give. Other than that, since Charu has already included various points related to information security, there is a lot of pressure from RBI from the perspective of customers' data security as well as financial security related. So digital payment security is one of the aspects in which a very detailed master direction has been issued by RBI, and right now every bank is working upon that to cover all of the guidance to be complied from implementation perspective as well as customer service perspective. Similarly, RBI is now coming up with a lot of expectations in terms of master directions or circulars. So every such aspect and cyber security related framework also needs to be strengthened to be established as per RBI guidance. And this is one of the area wherein major investment is happening across the banks, and we need to comply with whatever RBI is expecting from us. So this is the third aspect I wanted to highlight. And other than that, neo banking, or in words of Charu, open banking is one of the aspect wherein various banks are now exploring the avenue. Earlier, some banks have achieved this almost 2-3 years. There was very good such exposure by Yes Bank. I was a part of the team wherein majority of the APIs either related to financial transactions or other such avenues were being provided to MSMEs or other such partners who can leverage the APIs of the bank to complete their transactions or to provide such facilities to their customers or their internal staffs, etc. So these are a few of the things on which the bank, or rather the banks, are right now investing that through that I wanted to just update.
Right. So, Rohit, thanks for the response. So, again, a common trend, what I could gather from what Charu as well as Rohit said is, I think there are a variety or a plethora of factors that come into the play, be it regulations or be it the lines of business, but ultimately it's all about the customer. And uh, you could possibly say that the medium or the platform of servicing is now going towards what do you call as a digital mode, but I think keeping that engagement on with the customers is still possibly the most key factor that all financial institutions are looking at. So Abhin, if I can just ask you, how is the customer behavior changing, and what are you doing to keep up with this change in behavior in this digital world, as everyone calls it now?
Hi, Siddhish. Hi, Charu, and hi, Rohit. Very interesting and very interesting thought by Charu and obviously Rohit. Very nice for us as a distributor side to see what banks are doing, because we get to know from three different banks, four different banks. We get products from different places, and we are very close to customer, right? Why we are close to customer is uh, the customer's life does not revolve around a bank. Their life revolves around money, and they don't revolve around distribution. So now when we think of relationship, think of a customer sitting at the center, and this guy wants to know from where he bought an insurance policy, which he may not have bought from the same bank. Where has he invested via NPS, which he has done through an app which has come from a startup because he got a deal that day. So typically, when we got hit with COVID and we had endless amount of uh, customers asking what to do, because when market crash, the first thing the people want to do is take their money out, right? And the challenge happens is how to keep that relationship there with them, that they continue in being invested and not make mistakes for a long term when it comes to investing. So I will take an example, much easier one, because say of mobile, and that's what we actually saw what was happening. So this guy wants to buy a new mobile. He goes to online and search for that mobile range, because what they have is either they want to buy an iPhone or they want to buy a phone. So iPhone journey is very different, but the journey for any other phone is very different. So he goes and search phone between 30,000 rupees to 40,000 rupees. Finds few phone, does compare etc. on Amazon etc. Then he leaves that. He does not purchase that. Right. Then he gets hit by ads, remarketing, which gets there across all across his Facebook, Insta, everything. Then he again compares it, and then he does unique thing. He follow Manu Kumar Jain, right, on LinkedIn and this, because that's what they do for Xiaomi, okay, or Micromax, sorry, Xiaomi. And then he goes and instinctively, in one moment, next day, he is out there or doing something when he is sad. He makes that purchase, thinking that that will give him that pleasure of owning something. That's how the customer was spending. Now when we come to realize how to build this for our business and how to build it for a mutual fund or for buying insurance, the answers were very very different, right? So we traditionally thought that people want to invest to make money, but everyone wanted to invest to fulfill a single goal, and they were ready to, whether if that goal was fulfilled is not important, but what was important was that they have saved. So imagine a condition that you started for a goal, but actually you ended up happy because you saved that much amount of money. So whole communication of ours tweaked about showing a pot where that money was getting filled, and a continuous communication to my clients. And that got me a huge remark for my relationship manager, conversation starter. So we thought, how can we start conversation? Because in our business, the person thinks he thinks of money as something which he will think of on first, and when it hits his salary, most salaried account, and then he forgets about it for next 29 days till first comes, or he goes for a micro loan. So that's where the piece of how the customer was evolving. Coming to the point of how the relationship piece happened, so we have across different age group and cut across different India and Bharat, right? So people who are HNI, they are building kahanis, right? HNI and service people above 30 lakhs package have kahanis of lockdown, while rural India has tales of lockdown. It's a very, very stark difference that we found. Tale of lockdown was for lower class, and kahanis of lockdown was for a higher class. And what we could do is customize those communications. So 100% we have invested, we have made our data lake. If you want to know technology, have we taken our platform, we have upgraded. But what we could have solved is a SVOC, what we call a single view of customer, right? So we have brought in a place where customer can see all their investments across mutual fund, all their updates on FD, all their investment across PMS, bonds, AIF, and then they can see what their insurance they have bought from us, and we are giving them an opportunity to upload. So we are building an ecosystem. That's what we have realized, that the relationship is to come back for the ecosystem that they have, right? That is how we have gone, and what we are trying to also solve is that single view of customer, because we can do it, because we stand for the customer. And my relationship manager, even on a tele relationship manager, has no problem selling him a DBS product also and a IndusInd product also, which Charu would love to do, will not be able to do.
A very different view from what I expected, and possibly from what Charu and Rohit have of things that have happened and are happening in the last year. Thanks, Abhinna. So, Rohit, from a banking perspective, if I could put the same question to you, how would how has the customer engagement changed, and how have you been keeping up with the times in this digital world?
Yeah, so Shirish, basically right now I'm in the organization which is known as a pioneer for establishing a digital only bank, or DG Bank per se, in India. This was the first application made available by any bank in India, which contains almost all the banking, whatever we are providing facilities to the customers are available in the application DG Bank. So from that perspective, almost every bank is going in that direction now. And even if you see AU 0101, that is AU Small Finance Bank's property made available to its customer, the similar applications are right now being made available all of the banks. So first thing is the banking facilities, which were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 50 years ago, were being specifically provided by the branches only. Customer has to come to the branch only, then only he will get served. With last 10 to 20 years innovations, we are able to see that right now customer is having the complete bank in his or her hand through a mobility device, and through that mobile or tablet or laptop, customer can carry his requirements or whatever functionality he needs from a bank are available at his disposal, his or her disposal. So this is the first thing. Right now, every bank is working on that part. Few have achieved 90%, few have achieved 70%, few may have achieved 25%, but more or less any bank, public sector bank, or even cooperative banks or foreign banks, every bank is providing such facilities or functionalities to their customers. So one thing is the fulfillment of banking requirements. Right now, as I say, these facilities are available in customers' palm in the handheld devices. They can get these things made available. Even from that perspective, if customer at the rural areas through financial inclusion, Jandan accounts, Aadhaar enabled payment system, cards, micro ATMs, all these facilities have been launched by almost all the banks in India, so that the banking needs of the last mile customer or at the remote locations can be served upon. They can get their money back through a withdrawal. They can deposit their money through a BC agent. They can make the cash deposits through cash deposit machines. Everything, every banking need right now is available through technology. Customer is having at his or her disposal through the mobility applications. First thing. Second thing is the need of our is to reach to the customer from the customer grievance or customer service requirements perspective. So right now, all these channels are also being made available by almost all banks, through which customer can raise either their service requests or their grievances immediately through various channels made available by each of the banks. Then we come to the connect with the customers. So if we think about 50 years ago, customer need to come to branch. He need to make the relationships cordial with all the banking partners available in the branches only, or there was no concept of relationship managers. Now with the advancement of technology and various other opportunities made available by the banks, either a relationship manager is available for the bank, and right now the virtual relationship manager concept is also being leveraged by various banks, through which VRMs are available at the disposal of customers, and they can contact VRM via the facilities made available by the mobile banking application or other such avenues through which VRM can be accessed upon by customers, and customer can connect to the bank in need of our or as per his or her requirements. So this is another aspect, VRM. And then right now, various banks are leveraging various social media opportunities, like WhatsApp banking is right now becoming very popular, through which not exactly all requirements of banking are being served upon, but at least there is a connect can be made between a customer and a bank, through which whatever opportunities are being provided by the bank via WhatsApp can be utilized by the customer, either to see the account balance or various kind of functionalities that can be accessed by customer through WhatsApp. Similarly, other avenues like Facebook or Twitter or any such other social media applications or websites are also being utilized by customers, wherein banks are playing a very important role. They are very active. There are various boards or their own teams regularly, constantly watching the customers' interactions happening over these sites or various avenues, and therein banks teams respond immediately, so that there is nowhere a chance of customer getting aggravated related to his or her queries are not being answered by the banks or the respective teams. So these are some such points through which customers are being contacted upon, and there is a constant touch. I can say, I should say, it is a 24/7 touch, through which any customer, whenever there is a need of the hour, customer can contact the banks or the financial institutes, and the teams are responding 24/7. So that's the take from my side.
Right, right. Thanks, Rohit. So, Charu, coming to you with this, I think Rohit mentioned about Digi-only bank. So, my question, I think, not just IndusInd Bank, but most of the banks in India are now, if you ask me, ready from a digital standpoint. But do you think in the future banks like yours or large enterprise banks in our country would go or maybe make a spin off into a digital only entity? That's question one. And just taking that forward, how has this digital transformation, as we are calling it, helped, what do you say, leverage maybe your presence in the lending industry? So I know that IndusInd Bank is a large lender specifically in the auto finance segment, but how has this enhanced your, what do you say, capabilities or reach? If you could just throw some light on these 2 points, please.
Sure. So I think there is a space for sure for banks to become full-fledged digital banks, especially in a market like India. I think it's heavily regulated, and the digital banks have therefore not gotten entry yet into the market. But I definitely do acknowledge that clients, I would say, are underserved. There are very simple consumer needs, and at the end of the day, customers want simple personal financial management. If I talk about the individual segment, and maybe a business owner wants a bank who can partner with him and hold his hand and help him grow his business. And I think we are not as simple as an industry for the customers to engage with. I completely acknowledge that. And there are entities which are making it very simple, very engaging, and very, very personalized and addressing the pain points head on for the customers. So that white space does exist. And you would see IndusInd Bank, some other banks making a foray in those areas. I definitely see that happening. But I think what is going to be different is um, it's no longer about, can I open a savings account digitally or can I take a personal loan digitally? It's more and more important, increasingly, for a chosen segment, let's say a young individual, a non-resident, or whatever be your chosen segment, can you literally put that client in the center and then really design everything for him? And it's going to therefore move away from automation of processes and journeys and uh, onboarding is happening digitally to more of, can you serve a customer end to end in a meaningful manner digitally and create an end to end digital customer value proposition? And there is also going to be an important play of the ecosystem over there, because there are certain things which maybe some fintechs do best. Like, we have, um, yeah, the wealth fintechs do certain parts very well, and we may not want to reinvent the wheel there. So, how do you bring the best of breed from the ecosystem to a customer to help him solve his financial management aspects? You know, so that's what I would say. We will see that happening in some shape or the other. And to your second question on how is the digital transformation helping specifically on the lending side, I think there is a very solid foundation in place as far as digital lending goes, especially in a country like India now. With the entire India stack framework, with the account aggregator framework coming in, GST data um, becoming more and more easily available, uh, formalization of the MSMEs to an extent after DeMon, which has started reflecting in the banking, and also bureau becoming more and more available for a large chunk of Indian adult population. I think it's very there is tons of data now to actually take a very good decision on a customer digitally instant for a small ticket loan then and there. And actually, we recently went live with easy credit platforms for giving end-to-end journeys to a customer who is looking for a personal loan or a credit card in a completely 5-minute digital process end to end, and he ends it with a loan in his account. And you can completely take the entire process digitally as a new to bank customer. You do your KYC, video KYC, you use eNACH, eSign to sign up your agreements, and with all the data that the client gives us or provides a consent to access, be it bureau data or banking data, we are able to leverage advanced analytics based algorithm on the fly to give him a limit then and there, and give him a credit card and a personal loan in next, in an end to end process of 2 to 3 minutes. So that has essentially fundamentally changed the business model for small lending products for us, because one is that this is a completely new way of doing business, where you don't have to go to a branch, you don't have to speak to anybody. You want a loan, you can just go and take it yourself. So it's a completely new business line that has opened up. The second is that it's because it is designed in a microservices based framework, it's very easy for me to integrate with anybody in the ecosystem who wants to originate loans for IndusInd. So you can just take my APIs and you can get started and you can become a business partner with us for bringing customers to bank. So that's the second thing, and it gives us that much ease of integrating with partners. And it makes sale of these products so simple that anybody across the network, all the 10,000, 20,000 staff can just do it with ease. It's a 3-minute process. So even if you go in a branch, you can just do it, with your customer. So it's no longer a very complicated process to originate a personal loan for a customer where you have to do heavy documentation and all of that. So everybody is very comfortable because technology makes it that easy and comfortable for anybody to sell. So it just completely fundamentally shifts business models. And so definitely on the lending side, I do see digital transformation giving a huge impetus, especially to individual and retail SME micro enterprises lending. And specifically, we'll also see transaction-based lending products emerge, where at the point of transaction, you will have somebody willing to finance that transaction, whether it is an invoice discounting, it's a BNPL, buy now, pay later kind of a construct. But you would see more and more of working capital getting disintermediated with a cash flow based, transaction based lending, which happens during the transaction itself. And I think, yeah, we are also building our platforms with that reality in mind.
Okay, that's very, very good view, Charu. Thanks. So, Abhin, I think just moving slightly outside the spectrum of banking into the larger financial institutional plays over here. So, I think in banking, we've seen that the last year or so, there has been an acceleration in terms of partnership between banks, traditional banks, if I may call them, with these so-called neo institutions. I won't call them neo banks because RBI doesn't permit me to do that. But the partnership of traditional banks with the neo institutions, fintechs, as well as technology players has played a key role. Summing it up, you can say that the ecosystem or this partnership is probably been a very key factor in the last few months, and that's I mean as a trend, at least I personally see that that's going to carry on. So my question to you is this partnership or collaboration the key uh, to say enhance your access to customers, enhance scalability, reach, as well as in terms of for accessing new technology for financial institutions like yours?
So, see, this is no brainer. The answer is yes. The problem is not the answer is yes. The problem is how to prioritize this yes. And that's the challenge that every one of us face, right? Now, take for example what Charu was just continuing on to the same point. We have 6, 7 models which are working. We have a point of sales based transaction where lending happens through that POS machine. So I know that there is a future receivables through which I can do. There is a bank fintech partnership model. So the neo banks that we are saying, right? So banks have that, and we know that there is a potential borrower for banks, and they can do that type. There has been invoice discounting exchange. So like companies like Credex, which are operating exchanges on the unpaid invoices, so they do discounting by the SMEs for those, and then wealth managers and retail investors are looking at it. And then there are marketplaces, Pesa Bazaar, connecting borrowers with financial institutions, and a seamless journey happens. Then there is a captive model, which we keep on saying, like NBFCs being part of Flipkart, or Flipkart founders starting NBFCs, right? Or partnering with financial institutions, which are Ola. And then finally, the P2P model. Now, all of these 6, 7 models that you see, or buy now, pay later, depends on 4 to 5 key factors. And those themes are what we need to prioritize. See, all of us want to reimagine customer experience. So I really want to add that point from Charu, where she said that keep the customer at the center. The challenge is to design our DNA to have customer at the center, and that's where the challenge comes. I can keep my app at the center for the customer, but the my company DNA to use that app and serve the customer requires that digital adoption residue, which is what all of us are taking. And that's why you see, interestingly, chief digital officers are also digital adoption officers, because they have to constantly go and ensure that the adoption of that element is happening, right? So when you reimagine that customer experience, we have to start treating data as currency. Till now, we are looking at transaction moment as the moment of truth for currency. But what data is shown to the customer, to the relationship manager, and being taken from the backend becomes very critical. And like 5 minutes, we are saying, I will name the brand startup, right? You see cred. All banks are able to do lending within 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. They do within seconds because they have put up a P2P, and then what they do is up to 5 lakh rupees because they know their net worth, and they say this will get okayed. So they transfer within 2 3 seconds and then process the application there. So वो अपने जेब से पैसा डाल देता है, right? And they have figured out a way, loophole in RBI guideline, where what is missing. So imagine the experience that customer is having, that for a bank, when I take an API and try to integrate and give loan, and we are trying to do something like that for doing the loan bit, we are seeing that it takes 2 to 3 minutes and it happens fast, right? 3 minutes is nothing. But there are brands which are doing it in 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 10 seconds, and the money is, they say you will first get SMS rather than confirmation. So pop-up of SMS comes that this comes happen. Now that is the speed we are talking, right? So how will you not partner, Shirish? Right? There is no other way. If somebody says I am going to build everything myself, it's a very different Amazon kind of structure that we are trying to build today, right? As a distributor, it is not possible for us to do that, right? Banks can do it maybe. And then putting up the three critical element. One is that automated decisioning process and that intelligent automation that is required, and in the elastic infrastructure. So moving to cloud as a first strategy was very big change that we had to do. It was but obvious for banks, but for a party like us, it was not very easy for companies to understand that move here. And then doing the AI led collections and monitoring, in even in, if you are talking about lending as a business, right? Because that builds that book. So single view, but getting ensurety that you partner with people. Like I don't want to do my own KYC, right? There are startups who are doing great job into doing it. I can just do, and that's the game of microservice architecture. I can open up my system. Where I really want to see is, think of 5 years down the line, or which we all are thinking, but think of 15, 20 years down the line, which is very tough to think. And that's where the point of Jeff Bezos comes. Find out things which will not change, right? What are things which people are not going to change, right? We will still continue to find a way to have a panel discussion, right? See, like we are doing it. We will always find way to shop, right? That may be something else. People will still want to sit together and do it. So betting on things which is not going to change for us is where we see the relationships. And we are putting a lot of effort on uh, points which are our IP, which we are building in house, of how to give points to customer actions that will eventually be our differentiator for customer. Because UI UX is a one differentiator which will remain, right? And the other will be knowing when to call the customer, but more importantly, when not to nudge the customer. So journeys, when not to nudge the customer, is also very critical when we are trying to build this. And alliances and partnerships are part of it. We can't do it alone.
Right. Thanks, Abhin. I think I completely resonate with what you said, because I mean that's where players like us, players like Backbase come into the picture. I mean, if we all know that banks and financial institutions have the capability to build everything grounds up, so then that would leave no space for us, right? So, but that said, I mean, I think the reason why I focused on this is because I mean, even we are getting a lot of rather, I think the discussions around the engagement layer or the microservices layer or the presentation layer for customers has really increased multifold in the last year or so. And another aspect that I think all of you touched upon was the cloud. About 2 to 3 years ago, still the question used to be, is the solution cloud ready? It used to be from a futuristic perspective, but now today it's almost here. It's now everyone wants to be on the cloud from a scalability perspective, and from basically a outsourcing the managed hosting and infrastructure perspective. I think that's a conversation that we're having with everyone. I sort of would love to carry on this for some more time, but just in the interest of time, I want to ask one last question and a round of summary from the panel. So I'd like to begin here with Rohit. In terms of, I think we have had a lot of discussion around technology, customer, how what is our perceived vision of how things are going to grow in the next year or so. But I think to summarize, what would you say have been some of your biggest lessons or some of your biggest highs, and any other thoughts that you would have in terms of the summary? Rohit, if you could please start this off. Thanks.
So, experience of all 7 banks with which I have worked upon in my last 19 years of stint is first thing is that keeping customers' faith in the system. Don't lose customers' trust, which customer shows when he becomes a customer of a specific organization. It is very easy to let go of a customer, but it's very difficult to keep a customer with ourselves and to be able to upsell or cross sell our multiple products and to keep serving that customer up to the expectations level. So that is the biggest thing from a customer's service perspective. And for that purpose only, we need to put multiple efforts on multiple fronts. Like all our IT systems should be in such a shape that the downtimes, unscheduled downtimes are minimum. Customers are able to perform the transactions either at the branches or at the ATMs or at various digital avenues which we have made available to them. Also, whenever customer is facing any issue or any problem per se, any grievances being raised, the customer's grievances should be resolved in such a minimum possible time that a customer does not make that particular grievance as a point to leave the organization or the agreement or relationship, whatever we are having with that customer. So customer's faith and trust is the foremost thing. And as you know, we are known as a bank, and some of the earlier organizations which we have worked upon have their motto line, like PNB was having, the bank you can trust upon, you can bank upon. So these are few of the lines or few of the taglines in which we are saying to the customer that you should keep your faith in us. We will be able to serve you indefinitely. So from that perspective, my biggest takeaway while comparing with other service industry organizations are that customers' expectations should always be met anyhow, and that's the biggest learning from whole career experience.
Right, Rohit. Charu, if you could just.
Okay, so I think one of my biggest learnings over the last year is that the customer experience is at the end of the day, it's front to back. You know, a lot of times you may get colored about thinking about it in the terms of UI UX. It's really not that. All of us use several apps, and I mean, I would even say Amazon is one of those apps. I wouldn't say it's the best in terms of user experience, but it's so reliable that every time it's going to work and it is going to give you what you want and it is going to talk to you. The personalization engine is going to be intelligent and it's going to understand you at a level that it will make sense to you. So I think to me, that's real business value based view to creating customer experience. And experience is really front to back. It's not on a perfunctory UI layer. And if I had to tell you a couple of my really what I really think worked very well for us over the last year, or what I specifically feel good about, is the Easy Credit Stack, which in our humble effort, we tried to put it with the same thought process, uh, with eyes on business value creation, and Indus Merchant Solutions. I think that's another mobile application that we created, keeping a retailer in the center. And now we are building on it and further enhancing it, but it's completely our attempt of keeping that customer at the center and then like making everything possible for him on that mobile application.
Right. Thanks, Charu. Abhinna.
So, Shirish, for us, one of the key learning is customers are valuing relationships. They are valuing the time you spend with them when it comes to high ticket items. And in this time, we have launched a solution called retirement solution, specifically for a 55 plus about to retire, and has a corpus of somewhere around 50 lakhs, and we can do a life planning of them for 100 years, lifetime cash planning. So we have the most comprehensive look, and this is an end-to-end digital journey that we have offered. And just on numbers, we are talking somewhere around 50,000 retirees using so now this platform. So 50,000 may sound very small when you compare it with the million and billion of the this, but I am profitable, number one, when I look at startups, and second, this average ticket size is 40 lakhs of what they want to do a planning with us, right? So the whole game that we have realized is the last mover advantage, which Google had when um, Yahoo built everything, and then Google won the whole game, right? The last mover advantage. I believe it's time after IPO, all the banks and distributors like us will have the last mover advantage. They have got the right people at the right places. You see some very interesting thing what Rohit mentioned, Charu mentioned, right? So everyone is there in the industry to solve for that one customer. And finally the decision will be taken there at that moment at the point of need, right? So still a big story where we are not penetrated at all in the Indian market. Lot to cover. So perfect 10 years in place to build fantastic changes out there. That's what I'm hoping on the future.
Great, great. Thanks, Abhinna, for helping us wrapping that up. So Rohit, Charu, Abhinna, thank you once again. Quite a lot of diverse views again, and very interesting discussion. Unfortunately, we have to close this over here today. So thank you once again. Handing it back to you, Nishant.
Thank you, speakers and panelists, for such a stimulating discussion. In fact, there were some great insights on how digital transformation can help, financial institutions leveraging strong growth in retail or, in small SMEs, mainly SME enterprises, especially in terms of the customer experience side of it. And also, there was a discussion on how financial institutions can collaborate, to enhance the scalability and access new technology. So it was a great discussion. And as a token of appreciation, I request all the speakers to stay back to accept the award of participation. So let's have the awards on the screen, please. Thank you, Charu Mathur, Chief Digital Officer, Head Business Strategy and New Initiatives in Descent Bank. Thank you,
Thank
Charu, for joining
you.
us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Abhinav Suresh Khare, Chief Marketing and Digital Officer, Bajaj Capital Limited. Thank you, Abhinav, for joining us. Rohit Sharma, Vice President Technology and Operations, DBS Bank Limited. Thank you, Rohit, for joining us and sharing the insights.
Thank you, Nishant.
And of course,
Thank you, Shirish.
yes, sure. Thank you, Shirish Ganeshan, Regional Leader of South Asia from Backbase. And thank you for joining the panel, sharing the insights, and also thank you for supporting this event. Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
Nishant. Thank
and
you.
have a
Thank
good
you.
afternoon, speakers.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank,
Bye, bye,
everyone.
bye,
Bye.
bye.
thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Bye, bye.
Bye.
Bye.